Well then, welcome to today's episode of Flowmeter Guide, where the currents of wit and wisdom flow as we explore the journey of people building successful and unique businesses. And today's guest is me. Well then, I'm what you'd call a regular guy. No fancy degree, no rich aunt leaving me a big inheritance, and definitely no master plan for the future. I never set out to run or own a business. Actually, I never set out to do much of anything. So, I had no business running a business. Yet, somehow, here I am, managing and owning a few successful businesses. I built up a family business into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, sold it, then did it again, all by selling flow meters. Flow meters? Yep, a device that measures the flow of liquid inside a pipe. This goes to prove there's a market segment for just about everything. Hence, that's why they call me Flow Meter Guy. And despite my success, I'm still a run-of-the-mill regular guy. Now, if I can succeed in business, pretty much anybody can. Seriously. But how does a guy without any entrepreneurial spark pull it off? Simply, I learned from my mistakes. And boy howdy, did I make a lot of them. Wow. Sure, I had some great mentors along the way. But I was so thick-headed, I didn't even realize they were mentoring me to run a business. Well, everything finally clicked when I figured out how to reflect my past experiences and apply them to running a business. Does this mean I have some kind of brilliant mental superpowers? Nah. Please, just look at me. I don't have the mental faculties to chew gum and walk at the same time. No, last time I did that, I got hurt. Well then, here's the thing. All of us go through little life lessons every day. And they pretty much go in one ear and out the other. We are so busy, we don't take the time to unpack what happened. Remember the time you took that training wheels off your bike just because the kid across the street called you a baby? Well, a few stitches later, perhaps that wasn't such a good idea. I wonder how my emotions affected my decision-making during that situation. What about the time you had the honor of making the Thanksgiving turkey dinner for the relatives, but your knowledge of cooking was limited to Hot Pockets in the microwave? You guessed it, the bird got toasted and you had to order a pizza. You neglected to utilize any of your resources, like a cookbook or a video on YouTube. Or the time you paid a bill late. Of course, you got dinged with a big service charge. Had you planned ahead, well, you couldn't have got a discount by paying early. Why did that big order negotiation fall through? Perhaps you didn't digest the customer's needs or requirements. And what about the time you missed out on a great networking opportunity just because of waiting in one of those long lines for your favorite cup of coffee? I guess you need to focus on your priorities. Sure, big traumatic events stand out in our memories, but those everyday successes and failures get filed away in some dusty corner in the back of our brains. That's a shame, because this stuff can be pretty useful if we turn those moments into learning opportunities. That's right. Let's take a trip back to when you were a curious little kid. You touched that hot stove with your right hand. Ouch! You yanked it back. You think you've learned your lesson, but no. Curiosity kicked in. Would the same thing happen if I touched with my left hand? Ouch! Well, there's two types of people. You see, the genius among us only needed to burn one hand to figure out what's going on. But the rest of us, well, let's just say we needed an encore. That's right. Still, by the second burn, your brain made a permanent note. Hey, dummy, let's never do this again. Now imagine if you could skip that second burn altogether, if you took the time to digest and apply what you've learned the first time. Wild concept, huh? Well then, fast forward to me, a guy who loves the sound of his own voice and will stand behind a podium just running off his mouth until somebody dumps a bucket of water in his head. No, guys, it's a metaphor. Back with the bucket. And don't think I started off sprinting through adulthood. No, I had a slow, awkward shuffle. Much like a toddler learning to walk in clown shoes. I was, to put it mildly, an extremely shy and overprotected child. Practically raised in a bubble. My mother guarded her 4 kids like a mama bear with an advanced degree in worrying. She did. She shielded us from all things evil, bullies, bad news, nightmares, you name it. And of course, we got praised for everything we did. Why, I could pick up a dirty old rock from the backyard and dust it off, give it to her, and she would treat it like a piece of priceless art. She'd give me a hug, and there'd be tears in her eyes, and she would take the rock and place it on top of the fridge for everyone to admire. Naturally, the side effect of this was I was expecting applause for just walking into the room. Can you imagine my surprise when I ventured out into the real world where nobody gave me a standing ovation for just showing up? In grade school, I was the bully's dream target. My daily schedule went something like this. Get beat up on the bus on the way to school. Then they took my lunch money, get stuffed into a hall locker. Then I get beat up on the way on the bus ride home. But by high school, I'd finally grown bigger than most of the bullies. So I joined the varsity football team and even ended up dating one of those cute cheerleaders who took my lunch money and beat me up. Well then, my craving for approval forced me to overcome my shyness. Eventually, I found out that I had the knack for explaining complicated products like flow meters. Who would have known? So when making a sales presentation early in my career, I was usually the youngest person in the room. So I had to work twice as hard to gain credibility in front of a bunch of engineers and technical people. So if rattling off technical facts didn't do the trick, well, I'd crank up my old dry humor to lighten the mood. Hey, have you heard the joke about the 2 chickens trying to cross the road? But off stage, I still had the social skills of a tree stump. But in front of an audience, I transformed from a timid introvert into someone who looked like and sounded like they knew what the heck they were talking about. Well, the more I entertained and made sales presentations, the more opportunities I got to speak and sold more equipment. Wow. And the more I learned how to make my business grow. So, if you're a regular guy or a regular gal looking to learn from my mistakes, pick up a few insights from my conversations with the One Burn crowd on their journey to building businesses, well then, you're in exactly the right place. If you got any enjoyment from this rambling monologue, go ahead, hit that like button. And just don't forget to subscribe. And with that, I will see you in the next video, or maybe you'll just hear my voice, but you get the idea.